hang there my verse, in witness of my love. And thou, thrice crowned queen of night, survey with thy chaste eye from thy pale sphere above thy huntress's name, for whom my full life doth sway. O Rosalind, these trees shall be my books, and in their barks I'll character, that every eye in which this forest looks shall see thy virtue witnessed everywhere. Run, run, Orlando, carve on every tree the fair, the chaste, and unexpressive she.
And how like you the shepherd's life, Master Touchstone?
Truly, shepherd, in respect of itself, it is a good life. But in respect it is a shepherd's life, it is not. Now, in respect that it is private, I like it very well. But in respect it is solitary, it is a vile life. Now, in respect that it is in the fields, it pleaseth me well. But in respect that it is not in court, it is tedious. As it is a simple life, look you, it fits my humour well. But as there is no more plenty in it, it goes much against my stomach. Hast any philosophy in thee, shepherd?
No more with that I know, the more one sickens, the worse it easy is. And that he that wants money, means and content is without three good friends. That the properties of rain is too wet and fire to burn. And that good pasture makes fat sheep. That a great cause of the night is a lack of the sun. And that he that had learned no wish by nature nor art had complained of good reading, are come from a very dull kindred.
Such a one is a natural philosopher. Wast ever in court, shepherd?
No, truly.
Ha! Then thou art damned.
Nay, I hope.
Truly, thou art damned like an ill-roasted egg, all on one side.
For not being at court, your reason.
If thou never wast at court, then thou never sawest good manners. If thou never sawest good manners, then thy manners must be wicked, and wickedness is sin, and sin is damnation. Thou art in a parlous state, shepherd.
Not a whit, Touchstone. For those that are good manners at the court are as ridiculous in the country, as the behaviour of the country is most mockable at the court. You told me you salute not at the court, but that you kiss your hands. Such courtesies would be uncleanly if courtiers were shepherds.
Instance. Come, briefly, instance.
Why? We are still handling our ewes, and their fells, you know, are greasy.
And do not your courtiers' hands sweat? And is not the grease of a mutton as wholesome as the sweat of a man? Shallow, shallow. A better instance come.
Besides, our hands are hard.
Your lips will feel them the sooner. Shallow again. A more sounder instance. Come.
And they are often tarred over with the surgery of our sheep. Would you have us kiss tar? Besides, the courtier's hands are perfect with civet.
Most shallow man. Thou worm's meat of a piece of flesh indeed. Learn of the wise and prepare. Civet is of a baser birth than tar. The very uncleanly flocks of a cat. Mend the instant, shepherd.
You have too courtly a wit for me. I'll rest.
Wilt thou rest damned? God help thee, shallow man. God make incision in thee. Thou art raw.
Sir, I am a true labourer. I earn that I eat and I get that I wear. I owe no man hate and envy no man's happiness. I'm glad of other men's good and I'm content with my harm. And the greatest of my pride is to watch my ewes graze and my lambs suck.
That is another simple sin in you, to bring the ewes and the rams together and to offer to get your living by the copulation of cattle. To be a bawd to a bellwether, and to betray a she-lamb of a 12-month to a crooked-pated old cuckoo ram out of all reasonable match. If thou beest not damned for this, Devil himself will have no shepherds. I cannot see how else thou shalt escape.
Here comes young Master Ganymede, our new mistress's brother.
From the east to western island, no jewel is like Rosalind. Her worth being mounted on the wind, through all the world bears Rosalind.
All the pictures fairest line, I would black to Rosalind. Let no fair be kept in mind, but the fair of Rosalind.
I'll rhyme you so. And eat years together. Dinners and suppers and sleeping hours accepted. It is a right but a woman drank too much.
Out food.
Oh. For a taste. If a heart do lack a hind, let him seek out Rosalind. If a cat will after kind, so be sure will Rosalind. Winter garments must be lined, so must slender Rosalind. They that reap mischief and bind, and then to carts with Rosalind. Sweetest nut hath sourest rind, such a nut is Rosalind. Sweetest rose will find, and find love's prick in Rosalind. This is a very false gallop of verses. Why do you infect yourself with them?
Peace, you dull fool. I found them on a tree.
Truly, the tree yields bad fruit.
I'll graft it with you, and then I shall graft it with a meddler, and then it will be the earliest fruit in the country, for you'll be rotten ere you'll be half ripe, and that's the right virtue of a meddler.
So you have said. But whether wisely or no, let the forest judge.
Why should this a desert be? For it is unpeopled. No.
Peace. Here comes my sister reading. Stand aside.
Tongues are hang on every tree, that shall civil sayings show. Somehow brief the life of man, runs his erring pilgrimage, that the stretching of a span buckles in his sum of age. Some have violated vows, twixt the souls of friend and friend, but upon the fairest boughs, or at every sentence end, will I, Rosalind, write. Teach 'em all that read to know the quintessence of every sprite. Heaven would and little show, therefore heaven nature charged, that one body should be filled with all graces wide enlarged. Nature presently distilled Helen's cheek, but not her heart, Cleopatra's majesty, Atalanta's better part, sad Lucretia's modesty. Thus Rosalind of many parts by heavenly sin it was devised. Many faces, eyes, and hearts should have the touch's dearest prize. Heaven would that she these gifts should have, and I to live but die her slave.
Oh, most gentle pulpiter, what tedious homily of love have you wearied your parishioners withal, and never cried, have patience, good people?
How now? Back, friends. Shepherd, go off a little. Go with him, Sarah.
Come, shepherd. We will make a hasty retreat, though not with bag and baggage, yet with scrip and scrimmage.
Didst thou hear these verses?
Yes, and more too, for some of them had more feet than the verses would bear.
But that's no matter, the feet might bear the verses.
Aye, but the feet were lame and could not bear themselves without the verse, and therefore stood lamely in the verse.
But didst thou hear without wondering how thy name should be hanged and carved upon these trees?
I was 7 of the 9 days out of the wonder before you came. For look here what I found in a palm tree. I was never so behind since Pythagoras' time that I was an Irish rat, which I can hardly remember.
Trow you who have done this.
Is it a map?
And a chain that you once wore about his neck? Change your colour?
I prithee who?
Oh, Lord, Lord, it is a hard matter for friends to meet. But mountains may be removed with earthquakes and so encounter.
Nay, but who is it?
Is it possible?
Nay, I prithee now, with most petitionary vehemence. Tell me who it is!
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and most wonderful, wonderful, and yet again wonderful, and after that, out of all hooping.
Good, my complexion. Does I think that on comparison like a man, I have a doublet and hose in my disposition. 1 inch of delay more is a south sea of discovery, I prithee. Tell me who it is quickly and speak apace. I would thou couldn't stammer. Thou might pour this concealed man out of thy mouth. His wine comes out of a narrow-mouthed bottle, either too much at once or not at all, I prithee. Take the cork out of thy mouth that I might drink thy tidings.
Say may put a man in your belly.
What manner of man? Is he of God's making? Is his head worth a hat, or his chin worth a beard?
Nay, he hath but a little beard.
My God will send more if the man will be thankful. Let me stay the growth of his beard if thou delayest me not the knowledge of his chin.
It is young Orlando, that tripped up the restless hills, and your heart both in an instant.
Nay, but the devil take mocking. Speak, sad brow and true mate.
If faith cause 'tis he.
Orlando.
Orlando!
Alas the day! What shall I do with my doublet and hose? What did he when thou sawest him? What said he? How looked he? Where went he? What makes he here? How proud he of thee? Did he ask for me? And when thou shalt see him again, answer me in one word.
Thou must form me gargantua's mouth first. 'Tis a word too great for any mouth of this age's size. To say I know to these particulars is more than to answer a catechism.
But doth he know that I am in this forest, and in man's apparel? Looks he as freshly as he did the day he wrestled?
It is as easy to count atomies as to resolve the propositions of a lover. But take a taste of my finding him, and relative of good servants. I found him under a tree, like a dropped acorn.
It may well be called Jove's tree when it drops forth such fruit.
Give me audience, good madam.
Proceed.
There lay he stretched along like a wounded knight.
Though being a pity to see such a sight, it well becomes the ground.
Cry hollow to thy tongue, I prithee, it comes unseasonably. He is furnished like a hunter.
Ominous! He comes to kill my heart!
I would sing my song without it, Bev, and thou bringest me out of tune.
Do you not know I'm a woman? When I think, I must speak. Sweet.
You bring me out. Soft. Comes he not here?
'Tis he. Slink by and note him.
Thank you for your company, but good faith, I had as lief be myself alone.
And so had I, but yet for fashion's sake, I thank thee too for your society.
God buy you. Let's meet as little as we can.
I do desire we be better strangers.
I pray you mar no more trees with your writing love songs on their barks.
I pray you mar no more of my verses with reading them ill-favouredly.
Rosalind is your love's name.
Yes, just.
I do not like her name.
There was no thought of pleasing you when she was christened.
What stature is she of?
Just as high as my heart.
Oh, God. You are full of pretty answers. Have you not been acquainted with goldsmiths' wives and conned them out of rings?
Not so, but I answer you right painted cloth from whence you studied your questions.
You have a pretty wit. I think 'twere made of Atlantis' heels. Will you sit down with me and we two will rail against our mistress, the world, and all our misery?
I will chide no breather in this world except myself, against whom I know most faults.
The worst fault you have is to be in love.
It is a fault I would not change for your best virtue. I'm weary of you.
By my troth, I was seeking for a fool when I found you.
He is but drowned in the brook. Look but in and you shall see him.
And there I shall see mine own figure.
Which I take to be either a fool or a cipher.
I tarry no longer with you. Farewell, good Senor Love.
I am glad of your departure. Adieu, Monsieur Melancholy.
I will speak to him like a saucy lackey, and under that havoc lead a knave with him.
Do you hear, Forester?
Very well. What would you?
I pray you, what is still clock?
You should ask me what time of day. There is no clock in the forest.
Then there is no true lover in the forest, else sighing every minute and groaning every hour would detect the lazy foot of time as well as a clock.
And why not the swift foot of time? Had not that been as proper?
By no means, sir. Time travels in diverse cases with diverse persons. I'll tell you who time ambles withal, who time trots withal, who time gallops withal, and who he stands still withal.
I prithee, who do he troth withal?
Marry, he trots hard with a young maid, between the contract of her marriage and the day it is solemnized. If the interim be but a se'nnight, time's pace is so hard that it seems the length of 7 years.
Who ambles time withal?
With a priest that lacks Latin, and a rich man that hath not the gout, for the one sleeps easily because he cannot study, and the other lives merrily because he feels no pain, the one lacking the burden of lean and wasteful learning, the other knowing no burden of heavy, tedious penury, these time ambles withal.
Who doth he gallop withal?
With a thief to the gallows, but though he go as softly as foot can fall, he thinks himself too soon there.
Who stays he still withal?
With lawyers, in the vacation, for they sleep between term and perceive not how time moves.
Where dwell you, pretty youth?
With the shepherdess, my sister, here in the skirts of the forest, like fringe upon a petticoat.
Are you native of this place?
As the comely that you see dwell where she is kindled.
Your accent is something finer than you could purchase in so removed a dwelling.
I've been told so of many, but indeed an old religious uncle of mine taught me to speak, who was in his youth an inland man, one that knew courtship too well, for there he fell in love. Ugh. I have heard him read many lectures against it, and I thank God I am not a woman. To be touched with so many giddy offences as he have generally taxed their whole sex withal.
Can you remember any of the principal evils he laid to the charge of women?
There were none principal. They were all like one another as halfpence are, every one false seeming monstrous till his fellow folk came to match it.
I prithee, recount some of them.
No, I would not cast away my physic, but on those that are sick. There is a young man haunts our forest, who abuses our young plants with carving Rosalind on their barks, hangs odes upon haythorns and elegies on brambles, all forsooth deifying the name of Rosalind. If I could meet that fancy monger, I would give him some good counsel, for he seems to have the quotidian of love upon him.
I am he that is so love-shaped. I pray you, tell me a remedy.
There are none of my uncle's marks upon you. He taught me how to know a man in love, in which cage of rushes I am sure you are not a prisoner.
What were his marks?
A lean cheek, which you have not. A blue eye ensunken, which you have not. An unquestionable spirit, which you have not. A beard neglected, which you have not. But I pardon you for that, for simply your having in beards the younger brother's revenue. Then your coat should be unadapted, your bonnet unbanded, your sleeve unbuttoned, your shoe untied, and everything about you demonstrating a careless desolation. But you are no such man, sir. You are rather point device in your accoutrements, as loving yourself than seeming the lover of any other.
I would I could make thee believe, youth.
Me believe it. But you may as soon make her that you love believe it, which I warrant she is apter to do than to confess she does. That is one of the points in which women still give the lie to their consciences. But in good sooth, are you he that hangs the verses on the trees wherein this Rosalind is so admired?
I swear to thee, youth, by the white hand of Rosalind, I am he. That unfortunate he.
But are you so much in love as your rhymes speak?
Neither rhyme nor reason can express how much.
Love is merely a madness, and I tell you deserves as well a dark house and a whip as madmen do. And the reason why they're not so punished and cured is that lunacy is so ordinary, the whippers are in love too. Yet I profess curing it. I counsel.
Did you ever cure any so?
Yes, one. And in this manner, he was to imagine me his love, his mistress. And I set him every day to woo me, at which time would I, being but a moonish youth, grieve, be effeminate, changeable, longing and liking, proud, fantastical, apish, shallow, inconstant, full of tears, full of smiles, for every passion something, and for no passion truly anything, as boys and women are for the most part cattle of this colour, would now like him, then loathe him, then entertain him, then forswear him, now weep for him, then spit at him, that I drave my suitor from his mad humour of love to a living humour of madness, which was to forswear the full stream of the world and to live in a nook merely monastic, and thus I cured him. And in this way will I take it upon me to wash your liver as clean as a sound sheep's heart, that there shall not be one spot of love in it.
I would not be cured, youth.
I would cure you if you would but call me Rosalind, and come every day to my coat and woo me.
And by the faith of my love I will. Tell me where it is.
Go with me to it and I'll show it to you. And by the way, you shall tell me where in the forest you live. Will you go?
With all my heart, good youth.
Hey, you must go